When you are an authority and you make decisions and things like that, people are attracted to you. And that's why authority marketing is such a big deal. You know, your emotional state, it's going to drive how you show up, and how you show up determines what's going to actually come back to you. So for entrepreneurs and leaders, having a high frequency, a high energy simply means that you're operating with confidence, you focus, emotional stability, decisiveness, positive expectations, like you assume the positive. And leaders who have these traits, they attract people, they attract investors, they attract teams, and partners will seek them out. You don't have to chase every opportunity when you become this kind of person, because it will attract opportunities to you. This is why authority, as I mentioned a minute ago, is such a huge part. Authority is having the identity and the frequency and the confidence and being the industry leader in your area. When that happens, all right, welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. And today is a pretty simple message. It's really something that I don't think a lot of people think about, but it's something that I believe will really make a big difference in your life. It's about learning how to attract success. And our prosperity pillar number 11 says, I attract success. This is one of these thoughts that many of the greatest thought leaders that I've been able to surround myself with over the last multiple decades really believes. Because a lot of people spend their lives chasing success. They're chasing money, they're chasing opportunities, recognition, growth. You know, they run fast, work harder, sacrifice more, and believe that if they just push hard enough, success is going to eventually show up in their life. But one of the greatest insights ever shared about success comes from someone by the name of Jim Rohn, who said, success is not to be pursued, it is to be attracted by the person that you become. One of my favorite quotes. If you've listened for very long, you know that. Think about that for a minute. Success is not something you chase. It's something that you draw in. That means that, the real work is not just around you and the hustle. It's the internal personal development. It's becoming the type of person that success naturally moves towards. And so I want to talk to you today about how this works and how it works in the real world. What can you do with it? So let me start by addressing one of the biggest myths in business and life, the belief that working harder automatically produces more success. Now look, hard work matters. Massive action does matter. Discipline matters. But hustle doesn't guarantee results. You've probably seen people who work so hard. I mean, I've been there, you've been there. Work hard to stay stuck in the same place year after year. And, other people seem to just be breaking through and having opportunities appear to them, doors open, relationships form. Why is this? Well, because success responds to more than just effort. It responds to your confidence, your clarity, your emotional state, your identity. And if you operate from stress, scarcity, and burnout, you're going to push away a lot of opportunities you might be actually chasing, because desperation doesn't attract success. Confidence does. And success is not just about motion. It's about magnetism and attracting the success into your life. So this leads to a deeper thought. And that thought is that you don't get what you want. You get what you believe you're capable of, or what you believe you should get. So think of your life as having an internal thermostat. It's that money blueprint that we've talked about in the past. There's a level of income, responsibility, influence, success that you're really comfortable with. And if something pushes you above that level, but your identity hasn't changed yet, you're a lot of times going to self-correct, and you're going to lose those opportunities. You're going to see some success, but it's going to come back on you. That's why people can win really big and then lose everything, or finally reach a goal only to sabotage themselves, you might hear people say, because your identity sets the ceiling and your standards. Success expands to match the capacity of which you have to deal with it or handle it. So if you want to attract more success, you don't just set bigger goals. You've got to become a bigger person. You've got to expand your skills, your mindset, your resilience, and your vision to be that future version of yourself that can handle it. So you do need to upgrade your identity and the environment and everything else will follow. But that identity is going to be what you need to attract that success into your life. Now, another way to understand attraction is through energy, presence, and sort of the frequency that you're giving off. Not in a mystical sense. I'm not talking about that, but in a very practical leadership sense. Think about it. People respond to certainty. They respond to calm authority. They respond to conviction and confidence. So when you walk into a room with clarity and confidence, people will feel it. When you speak with purpose, people listen. When you are an authority and you make decisions and things like that, people are attracted to you. And that's why authority marketing is such a big deal. Your emotional state, it's going to drive how you show up, and how you show up determines what's going to actually come back to you. So for entrepreneurs and leaders, having a high frequency, a high energy simply means that you're operating with confidence, you focus, emotional stability, decisiveness, positive expectations, like you assume the positive. And leaders who have these traits, they attract people, they attract investors, they attract teams, and partners will seek them out. You don't have to chase every opportunity when you become this kind of person, because it will attract opportunities to you. This is why authority, as I mentioned a minute ago, is such a huge part. Authority is having the identity and the frequency and the confidence and being the industry leader in your area. And when that happens, opportunities come your way and things start to happen. So how do you practically, and strategically attract more success into your life? Well, let me give you 5 behaviors that I think are consistently something that will help you to create success in kind of a magnetic way. The first is clarity and focus. When you have clarity and focus, clear targets create directional pull. When you know exactly what you want, your brain filters information, you're focused, so you notice opportunities that were already there, but maybe you missed them before because they were just not visible to you. But clarity and focus is really important for you to be able to attract success into your life. Second, daily standards. Your habits, that's going to signal your readiness. When you consistently operate at a high standard, both physically, mentally, professionally, you send a message to yourself and the world that you're prepared for bigger things. And so your daily standards are going to be a key. Third, your strategic visibility. Remember, opportunities flow to people who are seen. You can't be hidden and be the best thing out there and think that you're going to have opportunities come your way, whether it's with your content, your networking, your leadership, your communication. You've got to get yourself out there so that you're strategically visible for opportunities to come your way. Fourth, high quality relationships. We talk about it all the time. Proximity is power. So, surrounding yourself with ambitious, capable, forward-thinking people, being in the right rooms, deals, partnerships, breakthroughs, they don't happen when you're isolated. So you've got to get out there and create high-quality relationships. And then the fifth thing is decisive action. Action signals your commitment. When you move quickly and confidently, the marketplace, people around you, they're going to really want to be attracted to you and your business. These behaviors that I'm talking about, though, like you think about this visibility, decisiveness, high quality relationships, they don't guarantee success overnight, but they will dramatically increase the probability that success is going to find you. If you're not visible, if you're not in the right rooms, it's just not going to happen. So you've got to set yourself up for success in that way. Now let's talk about something that a lot of high achievers struggle with. And that is this idea of, having faith versus needing to control a scenario. Faith is that confident expectation that things are going to happen when you take action. And entrepreneurs try to, a lot of times just control the outcome, every detail, every timeline, but success doesn't come in a straight line. We all know this. Some of the greatest opportunities that I've had come from things I didn't even expect to have happen. And so you've got to allow some space. You do your part, you prepare, you act, you grow, and then you allow room for the possibility of things to happen, because faith is the decision to believe that your efforts are compounding even when you don't see results. And if you keep moving forward with that faith, you will create consistency as well, right? But you will create results and things will come your way. So here's a pretty crazy thought I want you to think about. And just take an open mind right now and think about this. What if success is already trying to find you, but you're just too distracted? You're too afraid. You're too closed off to actually recognize it, because opportunities a lot of times show up disguised as challenges, uncomfortable growth, a difficult conversation, a risky decision, a new role, a problem that maybe no one else wants to solve. So, there are many people that miss these opportunities because you're expecting success to come a certain way. So I bring this up because you might be already having things in your path, but you're just not looking for them because you're so fixated on what you think success is going to be. So ask yourself a better question. What am I being prepared for right now? Not where is that thing I'm looking for? When you shift from, sort of like frustration and control and needing to figure out what success is to curiosity, you begin to see your circumstances as stepping stones instead of obstacles. So just be curious. Be curious about everything around you. And as you start this week, here's a pretty simple challenge for you. Choose one area of your life where you want more success. It might be your business, your health, your finances, your relationship, maybe even your leadership. But just ask this: what would the person who attracts success in this area do differently starting today? Not somebody, that is trying to chase it and control it, but, that person that's confident, that person that expects success, that person that knows that success is coming their way. How would that person act? How would they react? Raise your standards, make bold decisions, improve your environment, shift from chasing outcomes to becoming the person that outcomes are drawn to. Success is not random. This is something that you can indeed attract. And success responds to who you are, how you think, how you act, and how consistently you show up. Your job is not just to pursue success. Your job is to become a magnet for it. So, this prosperity pillar, number 11, I'm telling you, say it to yourself: I attract success. I attract success. And if you do that, I really believe at a minimum, your mindset, your perspective, your philosophy on life is going to change. So go out, have an amazing week this week. Do me a favor and share this show. And if I haven't mentioned already, or you haven't been on an episode where I have, go over to authoritymedianetwork.com. You can get a free spotlight interview in our magazine. Valiant CEO has over 100,000 readers. We've got some great opportunities for you to increase your authority, which really goes hand in hand with your identity and your mindset and everything else. So go check that out, and then hit me up on the Daily Mastermind. Let me know what you're working on, and plan on talking to you a little bit more tomorrow. Once again, this has been George Wright III. This is the Daily Mastermind. Have a great day.